Hi everybody, my name is Laurie and welcome back to another edition of DR Boxing Weekly, the show that covers all the relevant stories in boxing. Before we get underway, let me quickly introduce my panel. To my right, we've got James Toon in the house.
Woo. He called me his friend last show, mate. Moving up in the world.
To my left, we've got Nick Francis, aka the voice of reason.
Okay.
Woo!
You may well have noticed that we're one person missing from our normal lineup, Shane Willoughby. Shane's not very well this week, so he's not able to be with us, but we send our commiserations to Shane. Hope he gets well soon. Right, let's get down to business then. Very exciting weekend coming up with boxing. One of the most exciting divisions in boxing, the welterweight division, the classic welterweight division. There's two big fights taking place this weekend. And we all know that the welterweight division is on the tip of everyone's tongue. Later on this month, we've got the big undisputed showdown between Errol Spence and Terence Crawford. But before that, this weekend, three, I would say, of the best welterweights just below that very top tier, they're all in action this weekend. And the first fight we're going to be looking at is the fight between Vergil Ortiz Jr. and Imantis, I hope I haven't butchered that name, Imantis Stanionis. They're squaring off this weekend over on the West Coast at the A&T Stadium in Texas, where you got the number 4 ranked welterweight in the world, Vergil Ortiz Jr. He's taking on Imantis Stanionis. And before we sort of look into the fight in depth, I'll give you a quick tale of the tape. First up, Vergil Ortiz Jr., born in Dallas, Texas, 25 years old, 5'10", a reach of 70 inches, orthodox stance, 19 fights, 19 wins, 19 by KO, so he's got a 100% KO record. Most notable wins, well, he's fought and beat and stopped Michael McKinson from the UK. That was a very good win. He's also fought who they call the Green Machine. I think his surname is Cavalcausis, but he's a very good fighter. Stopped him in 8 rounds. Stopped Maurice Hooker, who's also a very good fighter, in 7 rounds. Let's have a look at Imantis Stanionis. Born in Lithuania, 25 years old, 5'8", 68-inch reach, orthodox fighter, 15 fights, 14 wins, 9 KOs, 1 no contest against Luis Collazo, no losses, no draws. Notable wins, his last fight against Butayev from Russia, which he won on points, very good fight. He's fought Thomas Delorme, beat him on points. He's also got a very good amateur record. He's beaten Scott Fitzgerald from the UK as an amateur. Kaz Ashfaq, Leeds boy, beat him in the amateurs. Jeff Horn, former world champion, beat him in the amateurs. So these are 2 top quality welterweights. Let's start with Nick. What's your take on this fight, bro?
It's going to be such an exciting fight. Really, really good fight. I like how, I don't know if we could say Vergil's being moved through the ranks, because he has fought some very good names. I know Maurice Hooker isn't the fighter he was previously, but a couple of years ago, very well fought of welterweight as well. But I just think he's got this 5'10", quite tall for a welterweight. He's got the size, he's got the KO power, and I only see Vergil Ortiz winning this, man. And it's first of all, it's really good to see the division mixing it up. You know, obviously we're getting this, as you say, around the same time as the top 2 are mixing it up, and I do think that trickles down. I do think when you see the champions taking on the best, it really sets a precedent. And then we see these
public one.
And then we see these other fighters who are a little bit. They could all just sit and wait and take easy fights and wait for their title chance against whoever becomes undisputed. But actually, they want to go and mix it up. They want to keep active and they want to push themselves. And I think Vergil Ortiz already, how old is he? 25.
25
has a very good resume. This would be another good win on his resume as well, especially if he can get a KO. I think he's the one. He's the truth.
It's an amazing fight. I mean, like I said, you got number 4 ranked, which is Vergil Ortiz. Imantis Stanionis, I think, is ranked number 5, so you couldn't get much closer. And like I said, if you look at just beneath that very top tier, Crawford and Spence, or Spence and Crawford, you can see right there that this is a proper tear-up.
Crawford and Spence.
Especially with those 2 fighting later on this year, well, very, very soon.
This month.
Could really, it is this month. It always come around the corner
the end
quickly,
of July.
mate.
The end of July.
The weight class is really starting to liven up, and it could be a big opportunity for one of those 2 to feast on the scraps of them. If I am going to give a favourite, it is going to be Vergil Ortiz. Knockout power for me is the most important attribute you can have in boxing.
But he can box as well.
Of course he can box, yeah. You have to be able to box to knock someone out. You have to be able to set it up. And obviously Stanionis is, I think, is it fair to say, the toughest test he's had?
Yeah, for both of them, it's by far the toughest test for both of them. Stanionis, I've watched him several times, good fighter, relentless, Very good body puncher, good technically, fit, strong, got that typical Eastern European style. You know what I mean? He's a pressure fighter, loves it in on the inside, rips those punches to the body. Defensively, he can be caught, but then so can Vergil Ortiz. Bit mechanical at times, but very strong, very driven, and he'll come to fight, man. Trust me.
I just think that style, that East European style, coming forward, being a little bit bullish against someone that has the great balance of footwork, boxing ability, and genuine KO power, I think that it's a matter of time. I think, again, we may see a situation where Vergil gives up some of the earlier rounds and then gathers data, picks his moment, and then starts to put it on.
That reach as well, you know, if he's trying to close the distance too much, someone like Vergil Ortiz, he's very smart, he's very savvy, he can just step back, pop him with the hook. Look, it's a great crossroads fight between the two of them, and I think one of this will come down to the mentality between the two fighters who, when they're really tested, will rise to the occasion, because it's very easy, well, not very easy, but it's all fine and dandy building yourself up to the top 5 position, getting yourself near the promised land, but once you get there, all of a sudden your mentality becomes very, very paramount. It's like you look at someone like Mike Tyson. Arguably a lot of people dislike his career because when he was truly tested in fights, a lot of the time people would argue he didn't necessarily deliver to his highest level, and obviously I'm not saying they're quite at that level yet, but it's a very exciting fight, and it's very good for boxing that we're starting to get these fights, and we're starting to
These are the fights we want to see. These are the fights.
Because how many times have we seen in boxing with promoters and all these other things, and we don't get these big fights, and you get people fighting easier fights and building false resumes. So I think it's very exciting.
To be fair to these guys, they could have stood around and waited it out.
Waited for the result of Crawford Spence and
and see how it goes, but they're keen to get in there. I mean, Vergil Ortiz, he's had couple of fights cancelled due to illness. He got severely ill. He had to cancel his last couple of fights, and it was being said that one of the reasons why he got so ill was that his body was being worn down by having to make the weight, because he's a big welterweight. He's 5'10", and he's not a skinny guy. He's quite thick in the shoulders, you know, looks strong, and he's ready to go. I mean, it's interesting because I watched a lot of footage of the two fighters, and they do have very similar qualities. So I spoke about the relentlessness of Stanionis. It's the same thing with Vergil Ortiz. The pressure fighting, the body punching, the combination punching, the strength, you know what I mean? The speed. It's all there from both fighters. So to me, this is a can't miss fight. It's going to be a great fight.
It is, but there's also another extra layer of unpredictability. When you're coming up through the ranks, activity is key. You want to have a lot of fights, and you want to have them in quick succession. Now, it's been 11 months for Vergil Ortiz, whereas it's been over like 14 months. So I think who's going to be able to come into the fight, who's going to be able to dust or get that ring rust out, I don't know. Unfortunately, there could be a scenario where both fighters haven't fought in such a long time that they're a bit cautious and they're a bit cagey. Hopefully, that's not the kind of fight we get. But who do you think is going to be? Who do you think's going to be affected by the ring rust the most?
Well, it's interesting because Vergil Ortiz, as I said, he had the 2 fights cancelled before because of illness. So it'll be interesting to see how he gets on. It'll be interesting to see how he makes a weight, because the common consensus is that he got ill through crashing the weight, trying to make the weight. He's a growing man, and I would imagine he hasn't got that long left at welterweight. But he still thinks he can make the weight for this fight. So
but Stanionis also hasn't fought in 15 months.
Doesn't have problems making the weight.
Natural welterweight, yeah.
But still, 15 months, it's gonna wear someone down. The fact that you haven't been in the ring in that high pressure scenario for so long. It's possible,
but they're young guys, so I'm not expecting too much fallout from that. What I would say though, they can both get caught because they both like to stand in the pocket and let their hands go. So by virtue of that means they're in the pocket to get hit. I think it's fair to say that Vergil Ortiz is definitely the harder puncher, single shot puncher. But Stanionis is no slouch. He can hit hard and he puts his shots together well. But Vergil looks a little bit more explosive to me, a little bit more dynamic. He's the slightly better boxer. So I'm leaning towards Vergil Ortiz. But I don't know. How do you see it?
Yeah,
give me a prediction.
Like I said, Vergil Ortiz middle rounds. I think he gathers data. I think he.
Well, you think he stops him?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, wow.
100%. I think.
Mind you, he's got 100%.
I think he's going to continue that. I think he continues that knockout record. I think I think that he may have some problems early. I think that, maybe one of the more aggressive. I'm looking at his record and the people that he's fought before. This may be the most aggressive person, the most direct person he's fought. He's fought very good boxers like Maurice Hooker that are not super, super aggressive. Box at a little bit of a distance.
Maurice Hooker did have his moments against him.
Yeah, and that's what's going to happen here early.
So did the Green Machine.
That's what's going to happen here early as well. But then once we start getting into the middle rounds, we'll see. He'll start testing out his opponent's punch resistance because he hits very hard, Vergil Ortiz, and it will start to damage his opponent for sure.
James?
I think it will be a slightly later stoppage than that. I think just purely on the basis of ring rust and not being in there for a long time, I think it will take him slightly longer to ease into the fight. I think it will take him slightly longer to get his distance right, to get the timing measured up. And I think as the fight gets on, as he said, he's going to keep collecting data. And by the late parts of the fight, I think out of exhaustion and just pure power.
So you think you'll wear him down?
Yeah, I think he'll wear him down, and I think he'll finish him late on in the fight.
Yeah, that's
TKO. I think. I don't think it'll be like a flat line.
Both of those predictions are plausible. For me, I'm going to go with Vergil Ortiz as well. But I must admit, Stanionis looks very durable, very strong, very resilient. Takes a punch well. I think he'll be there till the end. I do think he'll lose, but I think he'll put up a very good fight. To me, this is a can't-miss fight. I'm really looking forward to it. Both guys, they commend each other. They're not going to want to take a backward step, although one or the other will have to at times. But I'm really looking forward to this fight. I think it's going to be a really good fight, really exciting, really entertaining. I give Vergil Ortiz the edge because of his slightly superior boxing skills. I think he's the more dynamic, and crucially, I think he's the more explosive puncher. So I think that gives him the edge. But I am looking forward to it. It's going to be a great night. Right then, that's that one over on the West Coast. On the East Coast, on the same night, in Atlantic City, another fight I'm really looking forward to. The number 3rd ranked welterweight in the world, by most people's opinion. Jaron Boots Ennis of Philadelphia takes on Roiman Villa of Venezuela by way of Colombia. Quick tailored take. Jaron Ennis, born in Philadelphia, 26 years old, 5'10", 74-inch reach, orthodox fighter, although he can switch it. 30 fights, 30 wins, 27 KOs, no losses, no draws. Just looking at his opponent, Roiman Villa, born in Colombia but fights out of Venezuela, 30 years old, 5'7", 78 reach, orthodox starts, 27 fights, 26 wins, 24 KOs, big puncher this guy. Only one loss early in his career to a guy called Marcus Villasana. As I said, he's a big puncher. I watched his last fight where he stopped the prospect Rashidi Ellis. He was losing the fight up to a certain point, but he kept coming forward, pressing the issue, caught up with his opponent, landed some big shots, knocked him down, nearly got him out of there, got the edge in what was a tight fight, but, here he is, man, and he means business. Again, another very good fight because you've got Jaron Boots Ennis, who I personally think, outside of Spence and Crawford, is probably the next best, although there's not much in it. But I'm certainly looking forward to this fight. Nick,
we are going to find out what Boots' chin is saying in this fight because he's going to get hit. We're going to learn a little bit about him. That's the part that we don't know. I think he's the best technical boxer. I think Vergil's the best knockout artist outside of the top two. But I think Boots is the best technical boxer. He's the best technician. That's definitely the next fight that we want to see. But yeah, these are great information gathering fights. They're going to be extremely dynamic fights, very competitive fights as well.
You make a very good point there. You can see what's going to happen in it. The winner of Vergil Ortiz and Stanionis is probably going to square off against the winner.
And that'll be a final eliminator for the winner of the Spence-Crawford fight.
Once Spence and Crawford have resolved their issues.
100%.
James.
Or will they not try and jump straight to the Spence-Crawford fight, after that happens?
Well, I mean,
there'll be a rematch
that will
clause.
depend on how that goes. There's obviously a rematch clause there. It depends on how the fight goes. We don't know how that works out. But in the meantime, 2 great fights.
Yeah.
You spoke about Vergil Ortiz and Stanionis. How do you see Boots?
Jared Boots Ennis. I think he boots him out of the ring is what I think. Will he get caught? Will his chin be tested in this fight?
Yes.
He's got the more reach. He can keep him outside. As you said, he's a great technician. He could keep his range. He could use his good footwork. For me, I think the younger man by 4 years, the better technician. I think he's got all the physical attributes for me. I think it's a big test for him, of course, but I do think that it will be a relatively convincing night's work for Jared Ennis.
His opponent's a professional stalker, man. I'm telling you, he's like that gal that was
That's
stalking
coming
Mason.
from you.
He's like that gal that was stalking Mason Mount, blood. I'm telling you, like this guy's got it all, bruv. Do you know what I mean? He's got binoculars and everything. Like he's gonna keep coming forwards.
Binoculars.
And he's ready. His opponent's ready to go against somebody that he knows is a much better boxer.
I saw Villa fight against Rashidi Ellis, and what you say there is right. He will stalk you, man. He'll keep
100%.
coming. He'll keep believing. I mean, he was losing. He was at times getting comfortably outboxed in that fight. He never gave up hope. He kept coming forward.
He knows he's going to get outboxed. He's walking into the ring knowing that he's going to get outboxed.
But one of the reasons why he can approach fights in that way is that he knows he's got the equalizer, the right hand. And this guy can punch. I think outside of Vergil Ortiz, his KO percentage is exceedingly
Jared
high.
Ennis isn't a light puncher himself.
Exactly.
He's a light puncher himself.
So again, another can't miss fight,
knockout
man.
Rate. Yeah.
Bound to be entertaining, certainly while it lasts. I don't see this fight going the distance, funny enough.
No, neither do I.
I don't see either of them going the distance.
But, I mean, listen, man, Jerome Boots Ennis really excites me. I've got him outside of the top two. As slightly ahead of all the other guys. But, you know, you could easily make an argument for Vergil Ortiz or even Stanionis.
It's great. When those two eventually fight, Boots versus Vergil, I don't care
if it's those two.
But even regardless what happens this weekend, when they eventually fight, whether they both win, both lose, one wins or whatever, like, I like them both. I'm so excited to see that fight because it's two people that I like, two people that can box, two people that can punch, one slightly more of a boxer, one slightly more of a puncher, but it's still close. And this is exactly what we need from boxing. They're really setting a precedent, and I hope they get all the rewards from the type of character that they're showing to go and take these hard fights.
I mean, we spent time on this program. I'm not going to revisit it. You've all seen the shows. You've all heard what we've had to say. We've criticised some of the top flight guys in not fighting the best possible opposition. But fair play to these guys, right? They're taking on pretty much the best opponents they can get to fight. And both these fights, they're not gimme fights by any stretch of the imagination. The Vergil Ortiz Stanionis fight is a great fight. Likewise with this one. Boots could have gone another route, but he's taking on a guy that is a legitimate threat with a big right hand, physical guy, and he's not going to give up. So this is going to be a great fight. I can't wait for this one.
I wonder how much of that comes down to having someone else in your division to push you, like when it was Wilder and AJ kind of trying to push each other, and that was on the collision course. But if you do look at other people in their divisions who don't have an obvious person to push them, I don't know how much that, at the same stage of career, mind you, do you know what I mean? Not necessarily someone that's 32, 33 looking for easy fights and someone that's 22 on the come up, but these guys roughly the same age, similar stats, and pushing ech other all the way.
I would say, though, in Jerome Ennis' last fight, I think he fought a Russian guy. He fought a Russian guy called Karen Chudanaev or something similar to that.
Chudasikian.
Yeah, something like that. Karen.
Karen.
Fought a Karen.
He did. And he actually beat a Karen. First time you'll ever see it.
But with this Karen, man, he was given work in that fight. He won the rounds, don't get me wrong, but he wasn't able to just walk through the guy. The guy gave him a different look. The guy was a boxer, used his feet, used his boxing skill. And I wouldn't say Boots struggled, but he didn't look anywhere near as impressive as he looked in his previous fights, where guys came to him and, you know what I mean, he was able to find them quite easy. Now, with Villa is going to come to him. But that being said, Villa is not a guy that you can just recklessly think you're just going to walk through because he's got the power. That being said, Villa's right there to be hit. So
he could also walk onto some punches.
Yeah. So it's an intriguing fight. It's an intriguing fight, one I'm very much looking forward to. Right, okay, let's go around the table and get some quick predictions. I know which way you're going to go, but let's start with James.
I think Villa is going to have to buy himself a luxury villa with the best
with the
mattress,
money that he gets from this
the best mattress around, because he is going to sleep. Unfortunately, you can talk about his stalking ability, you can talk about his knockout power, you can talk about the fact that he's dangerous. But Jaron or Jaron, however you want to call it, is going to put Boots to asses in that fight, and I only see it going one way, to be honest. I think it's going to be quite a convincing victory.
A good fight, won't it, Lars?
I think it's going to be a good fight. I think it's going to be entertaining. As you said, Villa's going to come there to fight. He's not going to step back. He's not going to try and make it a boring fight. But I think someone doing that, someone trying to step onto him, especially when Ennis has all the physical attributes that he has, all the advantages, I see it's only going one way.
Nick, you think he might be chin checked in this fight? I
think so. I think
to show us something in the chin.
I think he wins, but this is the one I'd say goes late. This is the one I think is going to have to overcome some adversity. Both of them will, but this one I think is going to have to overcome more adversity and deal with a slightly different proposition. And it will bode well for him later on in his career to get this type of experience. But it will be a hard night's work. And at this point in his career, that's exactly what he needs. But later on, he'll be able to wear his man down.
We want to see these guys tested. We don't just want to see them rock up and just blow everyone away. I mean, if they can do that, great. But, it's also nice for fans like us to see one of the highly touted guys in with somebody that pushes them and brings out the best in them. And I think this weekend we're going to get that. I think in both of these fights, I think it's a sensational card. Well, they're different cards, but sensational weekends, welterweight boxing, which I'm really looking forward to. And you never know, we might be able to get a stream up and do something.
Mate.
I'm up for that. What are you saying, guys?
In there like
I'm in Morocco.
I know you're away, aren't you?
I'm away, yeah.
Well, get a nice villa in Morocco and set up your camera, mate.
My villa in Morocco is unbelievable. I'll show you guys
we'll chat to our production team and see if we can get something
See
sorted.
if we can get us out in there Morocco with him.
We'll see what we can do. But listen, guys, I should have just said, actually, that I think Jerome Ennis will win. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go for Jerome Ennis inside the distance win. But I think there will be moments when he will have to...
Define inside the distance. Early, middle, late?
Middle to late.
Yeah.
But he will definitely know that he's been in a fight.
Yeah.
100%. That's what I expect from this fight.
I hope he knows he's in a fight. Pretty dangerous for him if he doesn't.
So, right, you've heard from us three. What do you guys think? What do you guys think of the second card there? Jerome Boots Ennis taking on Roiman Villa.
And who do you rate? Who do you rate higher out of Boots and Vergil? Because that's up for that. Not necessarily for you. I've got to lean
towards Boots. But listen, man, it's high quality. And as I said, don't discount Stanionis, man. Yeah. He's a very good fighter. I rate all three of them. In fact, I rate all four of them. It's just that there's levels.
I want people at home to say who they rate more out of those two, just because then we can come back. We can come back on Saturday when the fight's all said and done.
I've got Boots slightly ahead of Vergil Ortiz and Stanionis, and then Villa. But listen, man, if
those
there's
boots
an upset,
weren't made for walking.
If there's an upset, it would not be the biggest shock in the world. Trust me. This weekend's boxing is that good. But listen, that's it for this show, guys. Thanks for watching. Please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel. Please also hit the notification bell for more content from DR Boxing and, of course, DR Sports. We're out. We'll see you soon. We might even see you at the weekend if we cover the fight, myself and James. Take care. See you soon. We're out.